Hi, it's Sue from Free Motion Quilt along with Ren. This is part of the table runner I designed for my mother and we're doing a lesson on it. This type of pattern is a continuous line pattern. I actually made this a bit more complicated than I thought, but with following the video you should get an idea of how simple it actually is as far as to do a large amount of quilting of the design. Um, but it's just more, you need to pay attention where your exit points are in this particular one. You'll find that this design you're doing half a flower as you work your way up and then the other half as you work your way down and then before moving on to the next section. If anyone is interested, it took about 8 hours to come up with a design that I was happy with. Lots of mistakes, lots of tracing onto new papers, parts I was happy with before trying to add more and get it to something that I liked and thought Mum would like as well. This next part is a part that I found I had to concentrate the most to keep the two lines separate in the centre. There's places where I actually didn't on mine. I found that it wasn't hugely obvious and I did leave it in places where I had made a mistake. With any of these types of designs, I would highly recommend, you have it printed out, trace over it and over it and over it until you are fairly confident in where the line's going to go and what is going to suit you best in exit points. If you do make a mistake with this and you do have to do a lot of backtracking, I would say leave it and go back later and finish it off then. those of you who are going to do this pattern find it easier after watching this to get an idea of how to move around the design, how to follow the lines, work out where exit points are and all those types of things, because it can be confusing with something like this. If you are getting confused, just stop and look, and it usually does make sense if you've traced it a few times. I hope by now you've all got a good idea of how you're working up this design, doing one half, and then working your way back down to do the completion of the design. And I'll move over in a moment to do the background and show you how I did that. Okay, so to do the background, I just did like a small scallop shape background where I do a repeat of anything from 3 to 6 or 7, and then change direction and do more C shapes in another direction. Sorry I didn't get anything more closer, but I will put a picture up of the detail at the end of the video. You should be able to get an idea though of how I moved around and changed different areas by watching it. So as you can see, lots of little semicircle shapes going back to the central point, then changing direction. And that's just filling in any little blank gaps that might be obvious later. By really doing a dense background, it will make the design of the motif stand up a lot more and just give it that bit more height. And that's it for today. For those of you who've tuned in and watched, thank you very much for joining me on today's journey. Enjoy the photo at the end.